Hey, everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Forrest, and welcome to It's Go Time. Now, before we get going, I'm going to ask if everybody can stay off of this raised up stage here. This way, nobody blocks this display area, and I have a little bit of room to move around, do the whole hosting thing, right? Whole presentation type thing. Now, Go Time is an event for, actually, another thing we're going to cover first. If I could direct your attention to your menu wheel in the lower left there, you're going to notice that at the very top of that is a microphone icon. When that's clear, we can hear everything happening in your environment. So I go ahead and I turn that to red. And when it's red, it means that you're muted, which basically means if somebody comes into your space and says, hey, are you still on that thing? You can feel free to answer them because we're not going to hear any of that. Or maybe you have a dog barking in the background. You won't face social ruin back at the campfire by becoming known as the avatar that started barking during its go time, right? Now, just because you're muted does not mean you can't express yourself, as Anthony's demonstrating, very well right here with the, well, what are you saying? I gave you attention there. I called out your name. Raise your hand like that. All right. Basically, yeah, if you press on this pink cheek smiley face, you can see your emoji panel open up in front of you. If I share something deep, something down there, powerful, and it touches you, and you feel it start building up, it's raising up, you can just let it on out, just like that, let it flow, right? It's like at times, right? Maybe I got some backup dancers backstage, right? And they come out and we break into It's Go Time, the musical, and you're all very impressed. You can throw up the applause I live for, and I can stand here and take a moment to drink that all in because it feels good. All right, if I ask you a yes or no question, you can say yes by smiling. You can say no by frowning. If I do something funny, you can laugh like this by showing me a silly emoji like that. Now this here, you're gonna see this a lot. This is not how you ask a question. This is how you get my attention if something's gone wrong. So if I'm up here and I'm waving my hands around like this or going like this, it looks like I'm making this really great speech, right? And you're not hearing nothing, that's when you go like that. But if you have a question, when we take a note and comments, stuff like that, we're taking that at the end. And that's how we're going to deal with that. See one in the back indicating something's gone wrong. Another person's indicating something's gone wrong. And this could also mean that the stage, the screen there is on fire. My moderators did that to me one time, and that's why I don't give them Terraformer anymore. I used to let them do like special effects and stuff, but then one day they decided to burn down the show. And that's why we don't do that anymore. Okay, you also have the X button in the middle of the emoji panel. When you press that, the emoji panel closes, but it's a good idea to leave it open because it provides me feedback. It lets me know how I'm doing, right? Also, it lets the people around you know what you're experiencing. So if the person next to you starts going like this, that means, well, they found something funny, and you may not agree. You may be like, that's not funny at all. I'm gonna go stand over here. And you can do that. This is VR, right? Cool. All right, now Go Time is an event for Oculus Go users, but all are welcome. So if you're on another device, feel free to hang. You may pick up some useful information that can, help out your fellow Go users, and help out when they have problems and stuff. I think, in case they couldn't make the show or something like that, right? All right, now, because being on an Oculus Go in all spaces, it's not without its challenges. And speaking of challenges, I've been in bed for like the past, 2 years now, due to a health condition. Don't worry, it's improving a lot. But but when my headset came, I couldn't wait to get this thing on. Do you guys remember that? The very first time, and even if you're on the device, you know what this feels like. The very first time you put on a headset, the way you're feeling like you're taken away to another place, right? That feeling, I couldn't wait. So and I've been reading about Altspace for a while. So Altspace was my first stop. And I put on the headset, I downloaded Altspace, I jumped right into it. I come out of the load screen, and the very first thing I did was I looked up, right? And back then they didn't have all this these ceiling beams here. All I saw was the sky, and that sky looked a lot like what I remembered, right? And I was grateful for this. So I was so grateful, in fact, I started volunteering like the first day, right? I started volunteering right away. But you know what happened to me? When I started volunteering, I'd run out of power all the time. I wouldn't make it through an entire event. And I'd have to charge up. I'd have to come back into Altspace, and I'd have to track down the event host, and I'd be like, I'm sorry, I flaked out. So I got off to, kind of a rocky start. So I started asking questions. I started asking, how can I improve this? How can I make my device last longer in Altspace? How can I increase its performance? I started doing research. I started asking questions, and I heard some stuff while I was doing this. I heard, for example, that they told me that I wouldn't be able to, I apparently still can't. There we go. They told me that I wouldn't be able to use this laser pointer here, right? They told me I couldn't do that, right? And it turned out I actually could. They also told me that, see these slides up here? They told me I wouldn't be able to do this either, and I could, all right? And they also told me that despite having a background in, presenting material like this in the real world, they told me my device wasn't reliable enough for me to host events in here. And that turned out to not be true also. If you're on an Oculus Go, you can absolutely host events, right? And so all this told me, all these things I was hearing told me there was a huge disconnect between what people thought it was like to be on an Oculus Go versus the reality of that experience. And that's not to say that there aren't problems. There are, right? But a lot of these problems you can solve, and a lot of these problems that you can't solve can at least be managed or improved. And there's two routes you can take. One, you can start with the device you already have on your head. We're going to go over some stuff here today that's going to improve your experience before you even leave, right? You're also going to talk about how to upgrade your experience to exceed the limitations of your device. And I say it that way because, listen, if you've been here before, you know I can't stand this term. Because if somebody comes up to you every single day and they say, I hate your shirt, right? You're like, oh, well, okay. You don't like my shirt. But if they tell you that every single day, you're going to start thinking it's not your shirt they don't like, right? And they'll throw these terms around like the limitations of the device, inferior device, weaker device. They say this stuff and it's not true, right? The Oculus Go is a wonderful introduction into VR. It's a great way to get started. I'm on a Quest now, but if I had started on an Oculus Quest, I would not have stayed, right? The Go, you don't have to worry about the up and down movement. You don't have to worry about the complexity of two controllers. It's a great introduction to VR, and it's a really great way to get your VR legs, get your feet wet, and all that kind of stuff. It's a wonderful device, and I feel about the Go the way most people feel about their first car, right? So yeah, keep that in mind if you hear those terms floating around. Because there's another term they use in Altspace an awful lot, and that's communities. There's a lot of diverse communities represented in Altspace, and they're using that word, communities over and over all the time, right? And it's you, the individual, that makes up these communities, right? Not what kind of headset you're using. So if you hear these terms, just remember you are not your headset any more than you are your house or your car. It's important to keep that in mind. All right, let's start with the device you already have on your head, some stuff you can do to improve your experience right now. All right. Now, when you first come in, right, you got to understand your device loses power even when it's not in use, right? So that charge rate goes down. If you come into Altspace when you got 20% battery power, your screen's going to flicker. It's going to affect your performance. So it's your responsibility, it's your job to keep your battery charged up to 100% before you come in. So if you look at you go to AltVR out in the real world, you go to altvr.com, and you're looking at the event schedule there. You're taking all that in, right? What am I going to do tonight? And you look and you see, oh, whoa, look, there's an event coming up. It's go time, and I've heard great things about the host. I heard he's got this fantastic plastic hair, and he's got this shirt that you're starting to see everywhere, right? And you're going to check it out. So while you're going to check this out, what you want to do is about an hour before the event starts, you want to plug in your device, make sure it's going to be charged up at 100%, right? And then, when you're doing that, right, you keep in mind something. When you first put your headset on, when you first turn on that button in the middle there, what you want to do, the very first thing you do when you put your headset on is you're going to want to press and hold that power button down for about 4 seconds, right from that home screen, right from the Oculus home screen. You press and hold that down for about 4 seconds. After about 4 seconds, you're going to see these 3 buttons appear in the air in front of you. That middle button is going to say restart. When you press restart, right, your device is going to restart. And think about this, because listen, while your device is losing power, it loses power because it's off, getting firmware updates, it's off getting app updates. Maybe it's got a pen pal on the other side, side of the world. Maybe it's got a secret life you don't know anything about, right? And, so what you want to do is you want to clear all that out. And the way you do this is by holding that down, about 4 seconds, that button right in the middle, you press restart, and this is going to, I like to think of this as clear in your mind before you come in. And then you step into that load screen, right? And when you come out in Altspace, you're going to notice that, you're going to notice how important body language is, in Altspace, right? So if you're at an event like this and a moderator comes up to you and they're going like that, right? They're shaking their head slowly side to side, right? That means don't do that thing, right? Nobody has to say a word to do that, right? Now, maybe somebody makes it up on the stage, right? And I'm all upset. I'm like, oh no, they're on the stage. And I go over and I start waving my hand like this. That means get off my stage. Hey, Fury, come on, I'm doing a bit here. Right? Seriously? All right, wow. All right, so I'm going like this, get off the stage like that, right? Like that. And what can happen is sometimes in Altspace on an Oculus Go, your body language isn't going to line up with what you're doing in reality. Like your real world hand might be here, but your avatar's hand might be up here. So when I was going to wave, Fury up the stage by going like this, what you might have seen was my hand going like this. And it might be saying I might be going like, hey Fury, how are you doing today? And I'm not actually saying that. I'm going, get off my stage, right? And so what's going to happen when your body language doesn't line up like this and your hand's in a different place than your avatar's hand? The way you can handle this is pretty simple, all right? And don't do this now, right? But if you were to press the bottom button on your controller, right? Because if you disappear, I'm going to feel it. But if you were to press that bottom button, what's going to happen is it's like an eject button. It's going to take you out of Altspace back to your Oculus home screen, right? But this button does something else, right? And this you can try now. If you look straight ahead, right, and you hold down that bottom button while holding your hand kind of out at your side like this, and you press and hold down that button for about 4 seconds, you're going to see this white circle appear in the air in front of you, right? And when that happens, your hand's going to snap right into place, right? And when it does, take a good look at it and ask yourself, is this where my hand is in the real world? If it is, then you're good. If not, keep doing this as long as it takes for you to be comfortable. And only you can determine what feels comfortable for you. All right. Now let's see here. You also have, well, occasionally what's going to happen in Altspace, you know that main menu wheel you got down in your lower left? Occasionally you may have noticed this is going to move around from time to time. Sometimes it can go behind you and you can't reach it, right? Or maybe it's just shifted out in front of you and it's making you feel a little off balance and you really want to move it, back to the left. So you've got your avatar like right in the middle of all these buttons. And so when it drifts around like that, the thing that you can do is remember something here. Just below your trackpad, right, is a button, right? And below that's a button. The button in the middle there, just below the trackpad, that's your menu button. You don't ever have to press that blue and white triangle ever again. Your menu is always in your hand, all right? And it pays to remember that. That's some handy information. So basically, if you press that one time and your main menu opens up, you press that again, your main menu is going to close. But if you're looking straight ahead when you do this, what's going to happen is your menu wheel on the lower left there is going to go back to where it's supposed to be, all right? So that'll help you reorient your menu if that should happen to you. Now, one of the best pieces of advice I got when I was first starting out in Altspace was, when I kept losing power, people told me to turn down my brightness. And I didn't want to do it because I wanted to have the best graphic experience I could possibly have. I wanted to feel like I was really here. I wanted to feel like completely immersed, right? And, and so I didn't want to do it. So I had my brightness turned way up, right? The retina burning levels. I mean, it was painful, but my graphics were awesome. Or so I thought. But I was getting tired of my battery losing power all the time, so I figured I'd give it a try. So what I did was every time I came into Altspace, I'd go to the Oculus main menu, right? And it'd be there'd be a settings area on the right-hand side. I press that settings, and in the middle there, there'd be an area for brightness, and I turned auto brightness off, and I started my journey. There's this big blue bar there, and every time I came into Altspace, I turned down that brightness a little bit more, and a little bit more, until finally there was no blue left. The brightness was completely off, right? And, I came into Altspace and I couldn't believe what I saw. Now, back then, they had an event that I would help out with. And right outside the building was this tree. There's a really big tree. It's where I learned how to moderate under the tree. And I'd always start my events out by, standing on the tree and hanging out with the other mods and stuff. And I'd go over to the tree and I look up and I couldn't believe how ill it looked. It was amazing. The graphics actually got better, right? So what you can do is turn your brightness all the way down. You're going to experience better performance on your device. Your battery's going to last longer, right? And you're going to have better graphics, and you're going to start lasting longer in Altspace if you do this. It's a really great, can't recommend doing that enough. Now, one of the reasons that Oculus Go users get kind of a bad reputation in Altspace is because of this phenomenon. To see the microphone on the Oculus Go is very sensitive, right? And the sounds come. Look at your hand up, Doggy. Doggy, we would take any questions at the end. Is something going on? Something wrong? Something wrong? All right, this better be good. I'm gonna, unmute you there. Let's see. What's going on, Doggy? What's going on? You're pointing at your eyes. What's going on? You gotta unmute yourself. What's going on? Okay. I took off the mute there.
Did you lose your screen?
Hello.
Can you hear us?
I can't hear.
Can't hear.
You can't hear me?
Can't hear. Yeah.
All right. Well, can he hear you? Can he hear anybody?
Can you hear
Can you
me?
hear it from? I can hear you. I'm just.
You can hear
Okay.
me.
I can hear.
Okay.
All right,
You
so
might want to
what-
re-enter the space. You might want to re-enter the space.
You may want to restart the app or at least re-enter the space. See if that works
Yeah.
for you. Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else having any problems hearing me? Or just Doggy? Doggy, speak to me. We stopped the presentation. Speak to me, man. Gonna re-enter the space. That should fix that. That's gonna fix most things. All right. How many on time here? All right, we can do this. All right. So this phenomenon that happens when you are that affects Go users is the microphone is very sensitive, right? And what this means is, like, let's say you're in the campfire. It's like what happens is the sound comes out of your straps, it's picked up by the microphone. It comes out through your avatar. The problem is in Altspace, we can't hear the sounds coming out of our avatar, right? Matter of fact, I didn't know when I started hosting, I didn't know what I sounded like. People tell me, "Oh, you were really good tonight," and I'm like, "Was I? I have no idea. I don't know what I sound like." But now, a couple months ago, we got a YouTube channel. And now that was the first time I heard myself when I sound like an Altspace, right? And if you want to, we got this right there. You got Raven Eye floating up there. You can all wave on up to Raven Eye and say hello to YouTube because we film these. We got Doggy Woods right here, who's a showstopper, right? We also got numbers over here. We got Hummingbird. We got EXTTRFR. We got hello there. I'm not saying hello there. I'm actually reading the name. But yeah, we got all these people in Altspace. It's really great. Come on in and join us. All right, so that's YouTube out there. Okay, so yeah, but but what happens is, so like let's say you go to the campfire and you're just starting out, you're a new user and you see a group of people, standing over there and they're talking, right? You got somebody standing there talking to Numbers here, and I'm like, hey Numbers, how's it going? How you doing? What's going on? How you been? Right? And all of a sudden I hear something, I turn around, right? Like that. Now you're over here walking up to the group of people talking, right? And all of a sudden they turn and they look at you, right? And something's going on, right? They turn and they look at you. You haven't said a thing, right? They just start staring at you, right? And all of a sudden they come at you and they go, are you on a go? Are you on a go? That can feel kind of off-putting. But what their experience is off-putting too, right? What their experience is, they're standing here, I'm talking to Numbers, I'm having a good time, I'm asking about his day, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, and that voice is incredibly familiar because the voice is my own, right? What happens is my voice is now coming out of your avatar. And it's a sound delay, so it's as it was in the past, and it can make you very difficult to talk to, because while I'm speaking to you, I'm hearing my voice reflected back at me, right? So, like feedback, they call it. And so one of the things you can do to fix this, it's actually pretty easy to take care of it. On the top of your headset, you're going to notice you have two buttons on the left side on the top there. The leftmost button is your volume down button, and to the right of that is your volume up button. When you press either of these, you're going to see vertical bars appear in the air in front of you, right? Some will be solid, some will be clear. What you're going for is 4 clear bars on the right side, right? This means your volume will be 4 ticks away from the maximum. And it'll be at such a level that it'll be harder for the microphone to pick up the sounds coming out of your straps, right? This will take care of that, and you're going to notice people being nice to you almost immediately. The thing of it is, though, is one thing that'll take care of this, for sure, is if you start using headphones with your headset, that'll take care of that, or even a pair of inexpensive earbuds. In my case, my wife Fury, she went to the library and she got an audiobook, right? And when she, got this audiobook, they gave her these free earbuds, and she brought them home. She showed me. She goes, "Look what I got for free." And I said, "Oh, that looks cool." And then suddenly those earbuds disappeared. Right? The mystery. Short time later, they reappeared, catch my headset, and they remain there to this day. Right? And after that, the only sound coming out of my avatar was my own. You can do that like too. If you do that, it'll help out a lot. Occasionally you'll still hear my wife come in and say, "Are you still on that thing?" Right? But I took care of that too. We got her a headset, and now she's, in Altspace with us. Turns out she's a very, talented moderator. She's helping us out today, and she's a very gifted world builder too. You should check out some of her work. Good stuff. All right, now, but this got me thinking. When I added the earbuds to the device, I started to wonder, what else could I do to improve my experience in Altspace? Are there any other, products that I can add onto the device that make it better and to solve some of these problems I was having? And it turns out there are. Right. And then I came up with what I call a Go Plus experience. And I call it this because I started lasting in areas where other Go users couldn't. I'd go into like a heavy performant world, and Go users would drop down into the ground, right? Or they disappear completely as they crash. I would still be here. I mean, my screen would flicker around a little bit, but I was still here. I didn't crash, right? So my performance greatly improved, and yours can too, just by doing a few simple things. None of this stuff is really expensive, and to talk about how I did this, right? I'm going to have to talk about these products up here, but I want to start out by saying these are not the only products that work, right? These are, it's the ideas behind these products that matter, right? So pay attention to the ideas and not necessarily the brand names and stuff like that, okay? If you want to try out any of these products, you're going to get the temptation to write it down. It's really hard to write stuff down in VR, so we made it easy for you to get these links. If you go to altvr.com, you're going to notice on the upper left of the page, once you've logged in, it says channels. And when you click on channels, you're going to see Ravenhall events, like it says up on the sound booth there, right? And it's, and we're right there at the bottom, at the very bottom, right in the below, just clawing our way to the top. But you'll see us down there, and you press on that, and it'll take you to our event page. And on our event page, you'll see a Join Discord button. You can join our Discord to help us out with events like this. You'll also see these products that I'm about to talk about on the left-hand side. So if you want to try any of them, the links will be there. You're also going to see the most important button on the internet, the subscribe button. Right? You press the subscribe button, and lets Altspace know that you enjoy our content. And we don't get paid to do this, so it really feels good when we see that number go up. So if you do that, we'd appreciate it. All right. Now the stuff that we're going to talk about here is we got the Anker Power Core battery pack, and this was going to take care of my power issues. Right? It's supposed to last for 16 hours because Oculus says not to use your device while it's plugged in, but they say you can use an external battery pack. So I figured this would solve my power issues. Right? Because I didn't think I'd ever need to be in VR for 16 hours. Like, food, sleep, water, stuff like that. Going to involve stopping every once in a while. So, when I ordered that too, I had heard at the time that people were starting to have problems charging their device. And I think because I don't know, when you plug in that device, you notice how tight the port is, right? I think over time, all that wear and tear is going to make the connections less. And that, the weakening connection is going to make it charge less effectively. So I found this a MagSafe cable here. And one end plugs into the battery, the tip plugs into your headset, and it's held in place by a magnetic connector. And this is a great safety feature because if you move your head suddenly and that wire pops off, When that wire pops off, you don't even have to take your headset off to fix it. You can just pick up the cable, hold it next to your headset, and it'll kind of snap right into place. When it does, if your microphone's open, it makes this thunk sound, and all your friends are going to go, "What was that?" And you're going to be like, "That's power. That's what that was. That was pure power." You don't have to say that. I just found it fun to do, right? But yeah, so that'll take care of that. And it did. And what I found after this solved my power problem, but it created a new one. What happened was I started to have issues where I would overheat all the time. Now, the faceplate on the Oculus Go is where it's supposed to cool, right? And that faceplate's installed by hand, so everybody experiences something different with this. Some lucky few never overheat at all. Some people, overheat once a half hour. I was one of those. I knew a guy who overheated every 2 minutes. The first go time we ever had, when we opened up for questions, there's a guy there who said that his headset became all pressed in because it actually melted from the heat. This made me nervous. I knew we had to solve this problem. So, and I heard some people were using ice packs to bring down the temperature. Right? I don't recommend doing this because, let's say that's going to create condensation inside your headset, and water, electricity on your face, probably not a good idea. And the people I know that have done this have gone through more than one headset, so I don't think it's a good idea to do that. What we did come up with is this AC Infinity mini fan. It's really small. It fits in the palm of your hand. It's on a USB, so it plugs right into that battery there. You'll notice it's got 2 ports up there, right? And it's got 3 speeds, but you only need the lowest speed. First time I ever got this, I used to moderate for the meditation event in Altspace, and it was held on top of a mountain. It's a really great space. You got like sunlight streaming down through the fog. You got these bowls with smoke coming up out of it, and it's a fantastic area. But for some reason, I always overheated 20 minutes into the experience every single time. And what happened was, so when this fan arrived, I figured that was a great place to test it, right? So what you want to do is you want to make this silver part is facing your faceplate, right? And then you got to hold it in place somehow. Some people use string. For myself, I use like elastic hairbands that I acquired from Fury there, and I wrapped them around rubber feet there, and and I came into Altspace to test it out. And I went into the meditation event, and I went up to the host, Jeremy, super nice guy, and I said, "Can you hear my fan?" And he said, "No, not at all." And that's great. So I turned it up to medium. I said, "How about now?" He says, "A little bit, but it's not too bad. It's not bad at all, right?" And then I turned it up to full blast before I could ask. He says, "Oh yeah, I can definitely hear that." So to be safe, I lowered it down to the lowest setting. I never had to turn it up again. What happened was I went through the event, 20 minutes came and went, and I still hadn't overheated. The event finished, and I still hadn't overheated, so I went to another event, right? And I didn't overheat at all. So I went to another event, and I didn't overheat in that event either. 3 events in a row. And then I went back to my home space, started hanging out with my friends, right? And saying how great it was, and I'm still here, And then it happened. For the very first time, I left Altspace by choice, not because I had to. I didn't leave because I was, overheating. I didn't leave because I was out of power. I left because I was actually tired. And that was the first time that it ever happened before. It never happened. And it wouldn't be the last time. I started, now that I had my my device was very reliable now, I started hosting events, started moderating events. I was all over. And you can too. All you have to do is make a few small changes. And really, honestly, none of this stuff is very expensive. This fan is about about $10 US. This cable is about $7 US. The most expensive thing is the battery. That's about $50 or $60 US. And they come in different sizes, capacities, colors, and you find what works best for you. You may not want one that's going to last 16 hours, or maybe you're on a budget and you want to try one that's a little bit more inexpensive. Like I said, it's the ideas behind these products. And if you try something different, come back and tell us about it. I love hearing how this stuff worked out. All right, let's see. We also have now, these solved the majority of the problems that I was having in Altspace, but there were still some issues, all right? And these are more of annoyances than they are like actual problems. And they're very easy to manage. The first one I'm going to talk about is like, let's say I'm standing at a campfire and I go to turn to my left to say something to Hummingbird, right? But instead of turning left, right, I go straight, and I'm like, that was weird, right? So I go over to, to turn the numbers on my right to say something about it. So I go to turn to the right, and instead of turning right, I go straight again. And I'm thinking, well, that's really just kind of odd. And then I go to press down on my control, back up a little bit so I can see them better. But instead of going backwards, I go straight again. And I'm like, what's going on? So I start to panic and I start pushing all these buttons on my trackpad. And no matter what I do, I keep going forward. And it's really strange. And oh no, next thing you know, I'm standing inside of an admin. There is nothing more scary, more frightening, more disturbing than standing inside of an admin. I saw things. I saw the past. I saw the future. I saw things about development. I can't even talk about it. I have dreams about it sometimes. But yeah, what happens is when that happens to you, it's pretty easy to correct. All right. What you want to do is you have to remember your trackpad is sensitive, just like your microphone. It's sensitive to touch, to heat, to moisture. Right. Of course, touch because it's a touchpad. Right. But what you want to do to reset this connection, right, is you take your thumb and without pressing down, very gently, delicately, swipe your thumb across the trackpad from right to left, left to right. The direction doesn't really matter, whatever works for you. You swipe your thumb across that trackpad, you lift it up into the air, you cross over to the other side, you come down and you swipe it again, right? And you do this 2 or 3 times. You go swipe, 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 and then when you come down on the final time, you go press down in the direction that you want to move, and you'll find you're moving in the ways that you want to. All right, that should take care of that. Now, also you're going to notice from time to time when you put your headset on, you're going to see a message on the screen that says "Can't find controller." Right now, you put a fresh battery in it last night because that can happen. If your battery is low in your controller, and it runs out, you're going to need to replace it. You'll get that message. But if you just put a fresh battery in there, right, and then you put your headset on, you see can't find controller, right, they become unpaired, right? They're not talking to each other anymore. Maybe your controller found out about your headset's secret life, right, and they're no longer speaking, right? But you're in a rush. You got to get in Altspace in a hurry. Maybe you're moderating an event, maybe you're hosting an event, maybe you got a hot date. I've heard that happens on here. No judgments, right? And you go in there and you got that message. Can't find controller. So what do? Well, the good news is you don't even have to take your headset off to fix this. All right, the 2 buttons that are below your controller, below your trackpad right there on the bottom, those 2 buttons, if you remember these words, you'll double down, be able to take care of it, right? What happens is if you press both buttons down at the same time and hold them there for about 4 seconds, what's going to happen is this little white light's going to appear on your trackpad. Now, if you're wearing your headset, you won't see that. But what you will see after about 4 seconds when you lift your thumb up, you're going to see you've got your controller back. You're going to see that you're going to be able to see your hand again, right? And then you're going to step into that load screen, hitting into Altspace. You're going to be like, man, I sure am glad I went to Go Time. That Michael Forrest, he knew what he was talking about. He told us to double down, and then I took care of that. See, hand going up. We'll be taking questions in just a moment, actually. So let's see what else we got. One more thing, just before we get out, because you're going to notice from time to time, your screen is going to go dark, right? You won't be able to see, right? And when that happens, the reason this happens, and this doesn't just happen to Quest users, this happens to all mobile users, actually. And it happens less because Altspace has done a lot to improve performance. But what happens, you see everything in this room, right? You've got this big red button here. Everyone's probably curious about it. If you haven't seen what this does, stick around to the end. This is something extremely cool. But this is in your headset right now, right? And as cool as this is, maybe after this event is over, you go back to the campfire, right? And back at the campfire, you're talking about how awesome this button was, but then you're not thinking about it anymore, right? But your headset still is. Even the stage, all these slides, all the fellow avatars, that all stays in your headset. And when that memory runs out, your screen's going to go dark, right? And what you want to do is you want to press that bottom button on your controller, because that's like an eject button, right? It'll take you right out of Altspace, and you'll see this thing that says quit, resume, right? If you press resume, it'll take you back into Altspace, but there's no sense doing that because the screen's dark and you still won't be able to see, right? But it's good if you press that button by accident. Like if you're at university, you dance around, right? And you press that button by accident, you press resume, you get taken back into Altspace, and people won't even know that you were gone, right? But it's something like the way to manage this is to get ahead of it before it happens. And the way you can get ahead of it before it happens is that when when this event is over, your friend, you say, hey, what do you want to do now? Right? And your friend goes, let's go to the campfire. All you have to do is say, oh, cool. All right, let's do that. I'll catch up. Right? Then you eject, right? By pressing that bottom button, you press quit, you restart the app, you come into your home space, you open your menu, you look where your friend is in there, and you go, oh, okay, I'm going to go join them now. You hit go to. The whole process takes place in less than a minute. Right? To do that. And this is a way of getting ahead of it before it happens. So you're basically managing the experience. That's how I found the best way to deal with it. Now, I do have some world building tips here, but I am running a little bit behind on time here. I'm a little bit over, actually. And I want to get to your questions and stuff. So if we are going to skip this, unless you guys want to hear it. All right? Anybody want to hear it? Don't show me some emojis if you want me to keep going. Otherwise, I'm seeing no's. All right, cool. We'll go over there. We'll skip this for today. All right. Now, we do have, we're going to open up for questions now. So if you have a question or a comment or anything like that, you're going to see a raised hand button appear in your lower right there. And you just press that round raised hand button and you're going to get on my list. All right. See, Numbers has it. Here's where I get to feel like a radio host. Numbers, you have a question? You're on the air. What's up, Numbers? What's going on?
Hi. So I just started side loading onto the headset, and so
Okay.
after a few days of getting the apps onto the headset, I turned on my headset, and then it kept on showing the Oculus logo. So I started freaking out, and then I looked online, and I had to hold down the volume and the power button for like a couple seconds.
Yes.
So I'm kind of, and I had to like fully wipe the device. So I'm kind of like
Yeah.
One, I'm kind of like I still want to side load, but like, is there any ways to like keep on side loading without that happening?
All right. Well, here's the thing. You need to understand that when you side load, right, you're basically entering developer mode, right? And when you're in developer mode, you're testing things that really haven't been tested yet. These aren't approved by Oculus. If they were, you wouldn't have to side load them. They'd be in the Oculus store, right? Oculus does a lot of things to test for performance and stuff. So when you start side loading, you're basically risking your device. If you're willing to live with that risk, right? Just remember, you can always do it, and that'll generally put the device back the way it was when you got it, right? And what you were doing there with the volume and on the side when you were holding those two buttons, that was putting you in developer mode, right? And you just have to understand that you're operating outside of the parameters of the manufacturer's recommendations, right? Oculus isn't like encouraging you to do this, right? So you're kind of doing it at your own risk, right? And if the benefits of sideloading are worth the risk to you, because like when I got my Quest, it wasn't available in Altspace yet. And the only way to get in Altspace and to be a beta tester was to sideload it. To me, that was an acceptable risk because I needed to be here because I was putting on events, and I thought that if I could get out and try the Quest first, I could help make sure that when the Quest users did arrive, they'd have a better experience, right? Matter of fact, when they had Quest Day, one of the first events they had was Quest Time, right? And we were able to help people integrate better in Altspace because of those people who had actually been testing it. But so yeah, you actually have to keep that in mind that you are taking it into your own hands, right? And you're actually going against the recommendations of the manufacturer, right? So hopefully that helps. I don't know if that really answered your question there, but yeah, it's just an opinion really. Your mileage may vary at your own risk kind of a thing. All right, let's see. We're gonna make some time for other people here. Skinny, I think. Yeah, Skinny has a question. Skinny, what's your question? You're on the air, Skinny. I think you're on the air. Okay. You need to press that accept button. Otherwise, it's going to take a very long time. Okay, maybe you press that button by accident. That can happen. All right, cool. Let's see, who else do we have here? We have Max. Max, you're on the air, Max. Cool name. Where are you, Max? Max, where are you? There you are. Max. Max, speak to me. What's going on?
So what days do you have your shows?
Let's see. We have on Mondays, we have It's Go Time and Quest Time. On Tuesdays, we have It's Flight Time. On Wednesday, we have I Am Possible. On Thursday, we have Go Time and Quest Time. Friday, we have Flight Time. Saturday, I like to take time just to reflect on the week, process videos, get us all up on YouTube. And on Sunday, we go back to Flight Time and we do it all over again. All right. I think that's about 8 times a week. All right. And we got another really huge show coming up soon. It's going to be, I can't even talk about it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best thing I've ever done here. It's going to have special effects. It's going to be awesome. You just keep an eye out for that. It's going to be huge. I'll say this. You're going to be looking at the schedule and go, what event was he talking about? You'll know it when you see it. It's that big. It's huge. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to press this button.
Okay.
All right, when I press this button, what's going to happen? Right, and if you didn't call on you, don't feel bad because right now we're going to go teach everybody to fly if you don't know how to fly. And if you have any questions, I'll take them there. In the world, we always teach people to fly, and it's Ravenhall Flight Academy. Right? We used to have like this drone off to the side there, but I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could get there in style? And that's what this big red button's all about. Right? There's these ships at the Ravenhall Flight Academy, these hovercraft that you can actually fly around. All right. So when I press this button,
Ravenhall Talon aircraft en route to your position.
There it is. All right. Yeah, you can fly one of those at the Ravenhall Flight Academy. And it's going to come pick us up. It's going to go up in the air. It's going to spin around over the trees. And it's going to come out back. Everybody, thank you for joining us. If you learned anything here today, please share it with the people you come in contact with. That's how we keep this thing going. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can find us at _ Uncanny Valley. Now, this Ravenhall Talon is going to come down here. And it's going to put a portal in. We're going to go into that portal and we'll go off to Ravenhall Flight Academy. And again,
Talon aircraft is now boarding outside for transport to the Ravenhall Flight Academy. Please exit the building and step into the blue light. Thank you.
All right, I'll see you all there. If you have any questions,